Good morning, everybody. Today for Rise and Rank, I am on the schedule to pop in here and talk to you guys about Instagram. So when I was looking over, my Instagram training and everything that I've been learning about Instagram and how to operate over there are a lot of things, or there's some things that I wanted to share with you today, but it's kind of hard to tie it all together. So because there's so many different things to talk about when it comes to being effective on Instagram for our businesses. So I wanted to break this up a little bit for you guys today. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do 2 mini series with you today or 3. I'm not quite sure. But I am going to just start with talking to you a little bit about brainstorming, the different topics that I want you guys to be focusing on hitting as you are creating content over on Instagram. So there's 4 different kinds of categories, I guess we could call them, of kind of genres that I want you to play around with your content. And then we're going to look at how these directly impact your business so that we know which of these you need to be focusing on the most. Now, we talked a little bit very briefly about these in the very first Instagram training that we did. I know that video was a bit choppy, so I want to make sure we go over these and nail these down, because these are really important as you're looking at not just throwing anything onto your Instagram page, but really having intention behind it with your content. So the first genre that we're going to look at is education. So what can people learn from you? Right? When we talked about creating your bio, we talked about making sure that this is about them and not about us. And so we want to be giving people an opportunity to learn from us. What do we have to teach somebody? Right? And then, it could be a number of different things. This doesn't just have to be around exercise and nutrition, but it can be. Hang on one second. I have chicken going off in the oven. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Forgot I had that in there. Okay, so this can be teaching people exercise moves, or showing them different types of workouts, how to put together a workout, how to create a meal plan, showing them how to use new types of different foods or recipe ideas. Self-love practices might be a big one for those of us on this team. It can be anything, though. This can be like mom hacks. Maybe you're really good at being organized and you can teach people organizational tips. Maybe you are a homeschool mom and you can teach people how to do that. Like, we all have a different niche. Yours might be very obvious. Yours might be very unique and kind of hard to discover. And it doesn't matter, but whatever it is that you have, maybe you are, I know we've got a lot of strong Christian women on this team. So maybe something you focus on as part of your brand is teaching people how to grow their faith, right? It doesn't matter what it is, but what can people learn from you? I hope you have a pen and paper right now, because I want you to be making these lists, because it's important that we have this in front of us moving forward to know how to put that intention, like I said, behind our Instagram, okay? So this needs to be more than a thought up here. This needs to be part of an action plan. So once we have that list and we talk about, okay, what can the person that I want to reach here on my Instagram page learn from me? Then we ask ourselves, how does this lead into sales? How is what I'm going to teach her connect the dots between what I'm going to show them, what they can learn from me, and where I want them to end up? Challenge group, coaching opportunity, right? So how can you make that connection? So I want you to just kind of think about that today, all right? Now, the second topic or category is inspiration. And this is, what can we do to brighten our girl's day, right? And when I say our girl, it's because we've talked about narrowing in this person, making a list of who it is that we're talking to, as if we are speaking to one specific girl across this computer screen. So how can you brighten their day today? Maybe this is a quote of the day in the morning. Maybe this is some sort of Christian inspiration. Maybe this is some hilarious meme or story that you can share with people. Maybe this is just vulnerability, because let's be honest, when we know that someone else is in our shoes and we can relate to them on that level, that brightens their day because they know they're not alone. So however it is that you can create that inspiration for them in their day, make a list of those things. What is it that you can provide them through your content that's going to brighten their day? And then let's talk about it. How does this convert to a customer? How do you take them from the inspiration that you're giving them into your final destination, which would be customer or coach, right? Joining a challenge group or joining your team. So that is category number 2. And I do want you making these lists, okay? The third one here is behind the scenes. So this is them getting to kind of take a look at your life. So this, when we're following people on social media and when we are, think specifically about like celebrities, we want to know what's going on with them outside of their business or outside of, in the details of their life. Outside of whatever it is that they do on a day-to-day that they show up, we know they're going to show up with those things, but we want to know the nitty-gritty type stuff, right? And a way that we can connect with them on a personal level. So this is the behind-the-scenes look at your life. And that might be life with kids, life as a busy mom. That might be life as a college student, or what does it look like for you at your full-time job, if that is not coaching? What does, your everyday activities, what does your family life look like? What does your dating life look like? I'm not telling you to go out there and throw up all these like personal details that you might not want to be sharing on social media, but this is giving people a glimpse into who you really are outside of coach. Who are you, right? So the behind the scenes type stuff. And then how is that stuff going to inspire them to make a purchase? So for me, this looks a lot like talking about the freedoms of being home with my kids and being able to be a stay-at-home mom. Hang on just a second. Guys, I'm on a live video, so I need you to be quiet, please, okay? They're just taking the dogs for a walk. So that looks like, the freedom of time that I have. I might not be popping on here talking about a 6-figure income, but it doesn't matter because I make enough as a coach to be able to be here and be present with my kids and to be able to be the one that takes them to and from school and activities and chaperone school events and be the cheerleader at their soccer practices and all that kind of stuff, right? The stuff that makes a difference for me is what comes from and flows from this opportunity as a coach. So that's a lot of what I share is the behind the scenes, and that leads people to a purchase or to that conversion by showing them a lifestyle that they may be interested in as well. There's, women who are working crazy hours at a job that they don't love and they wish they were home with their kids like I get to be. And so I get to share my journey from being that person who was working full time with a vision for where I wanted to be with my family and how I got there and how that looks like today. So I want you to make your list of what does that behind the scenes look like for you. Okay, that's number 3. And the fourth one is community. So, who do I make her feel a part of, right? So people want to connect. They want to feel like they're a part of something bigger. And I think we do a really, really great job of this community aspect on Self-Love Dynasty because we feel like we are a part of, even though we're scattered all across the country, soon to be across 3 different countries, we feel like we are connected to each other. We feel like we're a part of something much bigger than an independent coaching business. And we want to create that same type of community with the people that the women that we're talking to on social media, that girl that we want to connect with. We want her to feel a part of this because it's something big and it's a movement bigger than us alone, right? And so then how does that community feel that you're going to put out there for them? How does that compel them to become a customer with you or to join Self-Love Dynasty? And then I want you to look at, so once you have your list for all 4 of these areas, okay, let's go over them again. Education, inspiration, behind the scenes, and community. So once you have your list for those 4 things and you kind of identify each one and how they transition people from that specific content to a customer or coach, I want you to look at which one of these is converting the best. So which one of these 4 genres is your brand predominantly about? Do you feel like you talk a lot more about educating people? Do you give them a lot more tips and tricks? Or are you much more of an inspiration based, just trying to make someone feel good? What is your brand? What is the essence of your brand? And maybe you want that to look a little different than where it's at right now. And that's okay. But identify if you're not portraying the genre that you want to most currently on your page, that's okay. Just make sure that you identify which one you want your brand to be about, and that way you can really be intentional about putting that kind of content out there more often. And then I want you guys to think about which one of these, first of all, which one excites you the most, because it's going to be easier for you to talk about things that excite you. Because let's be honest, our audience, our ideal girl out there is much like us, right? And so if it excites us, it's going to excite them. And so we want to put a lot more of those conversations out there and be intentional about not just posting. The reason we're talking about these, you guys, is because we as coaches get in this rut. And if you look through Instagram accounts of other coaches, you will see this repeatedly. When I started digging into different profiles and, starting to reach out to people, I could tell most of the time, I could tell immediately when I came to somebody's page, they're a Beachbody coach, because I see the little selfie with the Shakeology cup like this and maybe a workout sweaty selfie or a workout video, but there isn't any detailed content behind it. And nobody cares if you're drinking a shake if they don't know how it's changing your life. So we really have to work on the content that we're putting out there to go along with captivating images, right? And to really be able to pull people in. So which one of these has the most power for you to drive revenue in your business long term? Here's what I want to say. All of these education, inspiration, behind the scenes, and community are important. Everybody's brand is going to need a little bit of each of these to paint the full picture of what we do. However, some of these is going to get your message across more strongly and more effectively. And it depends on the type of person that you are and the type of people that you want to connect with. So this doesn't have to be something complicated. All right. You don't have to know specifically every little thing you're going to post before you post it. What I want you guys to have is this overall general idea of how different content takes you in different directions, and to know and identify, all right, when I talk about this, I'm much more likely to get a conversion because it directly relates to getting somebody into a challenge group or onto the team. Whereas if we're just posting workout or sweaty selfies of ourselves and we're not really putting any thought behind the message, and that might just be seen as more of like a behind the scenes, that girl likes to work out. But how is that really going to connect, long term into revenue? We need to have this well thought out plan so that when we sit down to create our content, we really do have intention behind it. So that was, part A of today. What I wanted to talk to you about Instagram is just coming up with those 4 categories, brainstorming how your brand fits into those and what type of content you can share that's going to convert your customers the most. So once you make your lists, I want you to do me a favor below this video. And I want you to tell me which one of these, education, inspiration, behind the scenes, or community, I want you to tell me 2 things. Which one excites you the most, and which one do you believe is going to create the most revenue for you, the biggest conversion rate from content to conversion? All right. All right. I'll be checking in here with you in a little bit for round 2 of Instagram for the day. So I'll talk to you in a bit.